Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers. And remember, folks, we do this all in one day, so this is just going to be a straight shoot. In the description box, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they've threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Also included in there, the Ozark's first article in regards to the Agape boarding school situation, now known as Stone for Help boarding school, a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and folks, that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor who still lives on the premises with full access to the boys upon multiple substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries to actually do his job. You got a governor off his nuts, so send help. Read that article, share it on all your social media. Also included in there is this assessment here done by Dr. Fredda, Autistica Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org shut the Judge Rotenberg Center down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity and speak on dark subjects, so if your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised, all right? All right. Remember allergies, folks. One of the many reasons I hate this state. The pollen's obnoxious out here. We're in summer now. When's the relief? Sorry. Where we left off. One major implication of this concept is that by strengthening relevant communication skills, it may be possible to replace problem behavior so that such behavior becomes less frequent or is eliminated altogether. Hence, we go from Tiffany leg shaking to the socially more acceptable, which most people tend to notice less unless I actually mention it to them. Or they have OCD tendencies that border along mine. Now, does my leg shaking when I'm trying to get rid of that excess energy, whether good or bad, harming anyone? No. But remember, folks, the normies want us to completely rearrange our behavior so that they feel more comfortable having to suffer our presence. So, trigger warning, I'm going to flip it off. Let's move on, shall we? Functional communication training or teaching functionally equivalent behavior focuses on teaching students a response that serves the same function as their challenging behavior. Here's the problem. Which you think serves the same function doesn't always serve the same function. Let me give you an example. I was taught, even before I got properly diagnosed with autism, that I needed to do this and that it would serve the same stimming purpose without being as apparent as my stimming by leg shaking. Here's the problem, though. How much energy do you think this burns off? Does it help with some sensory issues? Yes. So I'll use it as an alternative when I'm needing, in particular, to feel some kind of stimulus pressure thing. What it doesn't do, because it requires very low energy to do, is get rid of that excess energy. So you know what happens is oftentimes, without me even thinking about it, when I'm feeling an extreme emotion, one of two things is going to happen. The leg shakes are going to happen, or because of that excess energy, I will move into full-on uncontrollable shakes because my body, because of my masking, is trying to compensate for all that excess energy in order to get rid of it. Okay? Therefore, what a neurotypical's idea of the same function is, it's more than likely not going to work. As previously explained, I believe if we are to progress even further, we need to stop trying to implement neurotypical thinking and reasoning behind autistic behavior and start listening to us when we tell you things. Because how can you provide me the same function when your association is that I'm trying to communicate a need of attention, when the actual function of the behavior is to get rid of excess energy? It's crossed wires, folks. Crossed wires, and it defeats the purpose. A better way would be, what do you think I should do to get rid of that excess energy? Than the very obvious stem. See what I mean? Well, let's move further. Because I told you I was also going to pick out some of the issues that are still inherent in the positive behavioral version of things. It's still better than getting shocked to death for daring to, breathe while autistic, but I'm going to point out the problems as well. The types of behaviors listed in the proposed behavior modification treatment plan, page 7, while identified as replacement or alternative behaviors for X, are not actually replacements for the intent of her problem behaviors. Replacement behaviors directly serve the same function as the problem behavior, which we already described why that can't happen as long as neurotypicals try to enforce their way of thinking and their reasoning onto us. You can't address something such as stimming as a need and a way to get rid of excess energy if you're convinced it's because I'm trying to get attention. Just saying. The process of functional communication training, teaching the person to use appropriate communicative responses to request those things previously obtained by the challenging behavior. Duran, Barati, and Wiener, 1993. And the newly trained response should evoke the same consequences as the targeting challenging behavior, Carr, 1998. Research has demonstrated that individuals with developmental disabilities with poor communication skills have higher levels of aggressive behavior than individuals with developmental disabilities that have better communication skills. Could it be because we have a hard time communicating with your neurotypical asses? particular when you all seem to want to have emotions be behind everything. Just saying. I like logic, reason, objectivity, and critical thought. I don't care what your emotions is swinging you to do. I care about what you think and why. What are your facts? Shawdell Ryder, 1968. Talkington Hall, 1969. Talkington Hall, Altman, 1971. It is clear to this consultant that X would benefit greatly from functional communication training and intensive pragmatic language training. Language training, I would agree with. I got no issues with that in particular. The behavior support plan does not include any competence that would serve the purpose of providing X with a different, more appropriate way to communicate with the very functions identified by JRC. Now, maybe this is just my autistic, just perennial jaded being pissed off at life, but let me put it to you this way. Why do neurotypicals get to be the police on what is and is not socially appropriate? Have you met these people? You all do some bizarre things that are considered socially acceptable that has me shaking my head and wondering what drugs you're on. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out. For example, X recommendations for IEP update 7396 reflects these proposed annual goals in the area of communication: improve verbal skills, increase ability to follow directions, and increase computer skills. Instead of giving her alternative ways to express the hypothesis functions of her behaviors or fulfill her needs, JRC's goals focus on compliance. Thank you. The JRC doesn't care why we do what we do. The JRC just wants to torture us into being basically emotional, literal robots. Just saying. Further, the goal of the improved verbal skills was inappropriate because X is nonverbal. Thus, this is an inappropriate goal, regardless of the function of her problem behaviors. Speak on it. The proposed behavior modification treatment plan identifies appropriate replacement or alternative behaviors for X. However, these behaviors are not communicative alternatives and do not meet any skill deficits, which could allow her to more independently fulfill her needs. Remember when I said their transition ideas and programs were a joke? I'm not the only one. Remember, this is said in 1999. That is, they do not serve the same function as a challenging behavior and do not allow her more independence or control. For example, page 7 includes accurately signing yes as a replacement behavior. Oh, Jesus Christ. However, JRC indicated that escape was a function for many of X's major behaviors. Could you ever think, JRC, that maybe she just wants to escape you? Indeed, escape is hypothesized to be a major function of behaviors. No should be the sign that is taught. Although you get mad at us and shock us when we say no. Using the toilet, following directions, not pushing objects placed near her, etc., or not offering blank ways of communicating what she intends to say. I don't want to do this. I want attention. I want to go somewhere. Again, why the hell do you all think we want attention? Especially from your neurotypical ass. You judge us with those judgy eyes. You condescend down to us and you speak to us like we're 6, even when we are almost 40 years old. I don't want attention, Karen. Okay? Can we stop with that myth now? Please. Love of God. Let's sum it up, folks, before we close this video. As you can tell, I have some very strong opinions on where even positive behavior supports is extremely wrong, because it's still operating off this base premise that a lot of these behaviors all have to do with the function of getting attention. No, they don't. When I want attention, I'll tell you. I'll give you a hug. I may even info dump on you. If an autistic wants your attention, one of the easiest ways to tell is nonverbal or verbal, we will info dump. At least that's what I've noticed prevalent amongst many of us. We're not all the same. We are not going to do an extreme behavior to get attention. Okay? Stop it. Stop. Listen to us autistics when we tell you things. If you want to improve things into the future when it comes to autism treatment, stop thinking you know everything. Stop basing it off of things that have been antiquated and proven to be garbage for years. You want to push autism treatment and treat behaviors into the future and move past this, then we got to get rid of this concept that the behaviors that we are doing, destructive or otherwise, are to get attention. It's a cop-out. It's lazy. Okay? Particularly this idea that I'm going to use behaviors to manipulate. Because we don't. It's not how any of this works. Moving on, folks. To conclude, obviously there's still some problems, even with the so-called state-of-the-art autism treatment, as I've been pointing out through these last several videos. However, the statements that she is making about how the JRC is falling short of even that, as problematic as it is, should speak volumes. This person has more letters behind their name, more research, more data, more qualifications than Dr. Matthew Israel has ever had in his whole goddamn life. Though her ideas, as well as the others that are very cemented in the medical model, have their issues. I think I'm going to take her word over his. We're going to close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, folks. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.